I'd say, along with motherhood and the education system, being the bigger person is probably one of the biggest scams that I've not only ever heard, but I've ever fallen for. What is up, people? A very warm welcome back or to another video. For those of you who are both old and new around here, I'm super grateful to have you come and join us. The one thing I have learned in life is that my inner peace and my sanity is so much more important than being the bigger person. Because the scam that is being the bigger person is actually just enabling an abuser or an antagonizer to continue with their behavior whilst everybody else wants to stay comfortable and wants you to stay as quiet and as small as possible. The people who I think are really going to understand this video are the empaths, the ones who grew up incredibly sensitive, the ones who had to grow up too quickly, who are parentified, daughters of immigrant parents, the ones who felt like they had to regulate everybody's emotions around them and had to put their wants and needs last all the time. You are 100% gonna get where I'm coming at with this video. And you may or may not have reached this point in your life where you absolutely point blank refuse to be the bigger person. And if you need to create a scene, and if you need to hold a grudge, and if you need to stand your ground on your boundaries, you 100% will. And you no longer give a fuck about other people's feelings. I find that anytime you or anyone else is told to be the bigger person, what they're actually doing is enabling the abuser, the bully, or the antagonizer in that situation. What they're also telling you is to continue being small, to keep your mouth shut, because actually they are the ones who feel uncomfortable by you wanting to set a boundary and defend yourself. What they benefit from is you being small, you being convenient, and you not so-called causing a scene when actually you're just defending yourself. I find the best translation for be the bigger person is actually, can you not cause a scene right now because confrontation makes all of us pussies really uncomfortable. I've found through the years that the reason people have always said be the bigger person is because they know deep down that you're a kind, sensitive soul and you are 100% likely to take that to heart. The reason why they won't turn around to a bully or an antagonizer or an abuser and say, hey, why are you doing what you're doing, is because it's much easier to point fingers at the person who is already beaten down. We're already down in that situation, so it's easier for someone to punch down instead of to stand up to a bully. I have honestly lost count of the amount of times I've been told to just be the bigger person, just forgive and forget. Or one of my all-time favorites, which actually really affected me when I was much younger, is, oh, I expected more from you. So you didn't expect more from the bully, but you expected more from me, the person who was defending themselves. And again, this just comes back to this good girl conditioning, this societal conditioning that we're all supposed to be this yes girl. And, you know, we're all supposed to be accommodating for absolutely everybody. And if somebody else is angry, then it's because we have somehow made them angry instead of that person just can't actually fucking handle their emotions. If you were that so-called good girl where you had to be on your best behavior all the time, you weren't allowed to express your emotions, but you were somehow expected to manage everybody else's emotions, even the adults around you, you will 100% have been in this situation before. And let me tell you, it never leaves you. Even when you grow up into adulthood, this doesn't leave you. And it becomes harder and harder and harder for people to set those boundaries down if they've grown up in an environment where even when they're a child, they've had these adult expectations pushed onto them. And they've consistently been told that basically you can't have boundaries because it makes you a bad person. And in order to move on, you have to be the bigger person, even though you're in a scenario with drama you didn't create. Honestly, the only thing that being the bigger person has ever done to me is it's made me more anxious. It's made me more angry. It's filled me with even more doubt. And it's just generally filled me with lots of resentment, hate, and anger. I don't really want to carry the anger of being the bigger person and then looking back on that scenario, that situation, and thinking to myself, no, why the fuck should I have to be the so-called bigger person? I actually just want to defend myself. In fact, if I defend myself now and that makes me a villain in somebody's story, then so be it. I am 100% ready to be in my villain era if it means protecting my peace and my sanity. When I started noticing this pattern more and more in my life, not just in family situations, but with friends, with colleagues, in any situation or scenario where I was that person who was always underestimated and always overlooked, yet when the shit hit the fan, it was like, can you come and fix this? Bitch, no, I fucking can't. That's my response now. Oh, but be the bigger person. Do it for us. Do it for the peace. I've noticed that I've always been that person who, do it just to create peace. Respectfully, nobody's ever created peace for me. So why should I create it for everybody else? And this is what absolutely enrages me about living as a woman these days, specifically when you're born into immigrant parents or you're like the only daughter, the first daughter. You all understand what I'm speaking about when I say this. You are just expected to be this fixer. You are expected to be this safety net for everybody, this emotional punch bag for everybody. You're expected to keep everybody else cushy all the fucking time. And your needs aren't even in the question. Not only are your needs never met and they're last, they're not even in the equation. You are just this invisible person and everybody's relying on you the moment the fucking shit hits the fan. Which is why now, if I have to be a villain in someone's story, I will be the villain just to take my own internal peace and sanity. So if you're kind, if you're empathetic, if you feel things a lot, if you feel quite deep emotions, any emotion, whether that's a positive or a negative one, if you're kind of this good girl that you've always been told to be, you will be a really easy target for shit like this, basically, for situations where even if you're just defending yourself or even if you're just having a casual disagreement on something, you are the one who's going to be relied on to be the bigger person. And let me tell you now, it is not your responsibility to be the bigger person just to make somebody else feel cushy, just to make somebody else feel comfortable, more to the point, just to enable somebody else to do that behavior again and again and again. Because trust me, they will do it again and again and again until you are completely burnt the fuck out. In the last year, I've noticed a slight increase in people telling me that they don't think I'm a kind person, that I'm mean, that I have an attitude problem, that I'm rude, that I lack empathy, which is actually quite ironic, that I'm not as nice as they thought I was. And that tells me everything I need to know, because the last year for me has actually just been more of not just a growth phase for me personally, but a social experiment into how people do treat and perceive you. And if they do think that you're a kind and empathetic person and that you're really understanding and that you're a people pleaser, which is what I've been for many years, is that they will do anything to benefit from that. And if they can't benefit from that, so of course they're going to turn around and think that you're unkind or, oh, you're not as nice as I thought you were, which is a really interesting take on things. And honestly, it's just felt fantastic. I haven't been as upset by it because when I was much younger, I think I used to get upset if somebody thought I was a bad person. So I made an extra effort to be this good girl persona, not only the one that was expected from me at such a young age, but like on top of that, I would do extra and just literally go that extra mile for every single person in every single career path, for every single work colleague, wherever I worked. And that is what left me on zero. That is what left me drained. But it has been really interesting to see how more people react now. And I guess those are the reasons that I will never be the so-called bigger person again, because it never actually leaves you happy. It just oftentimes leaves you in a state of resentment. But if it works for you and it makes you happier to forgive and forget and to move on, then you do you. I'm not telling you to change yourself. Personally, I wish I'd just got to this stage of my life a little bit earlier, but as the saying goes, it's better late than never. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a massive thumbs up. I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Peace out.